Welcome, everyone, to the 20th episode of Full Court Magic. This episode, as always, is powered by Roundtable Sports. And if you guys do not know me by now, I am Don Strouble. I am the Orlando Magic beat writer for Roundtable Sports. And folks, the Magic have new life, and they begin a new season tonight, starting over from zero, or game one rather, against the top-seeded Detroit Pistons in the first round of the playoffs. This is a opportunity for the Magic that was earned on Friday night with a dominant 121 to 90 win over the Charlotte Hornets. Both teams playing for their season, and the Magic looked like the more experienced group. They looked like they wanted it more, and quite frankly, for the most part, that was the best game I saw this Magic team play all season. And I provided coverage for most of all 82, with the exception of a few days here and there that I couldn't make it to the arena or had to take a day. But I've seen this team play uh, nearly 40 times this year in person. I've covered them by watching road games. I even went to a road game in Miami uh, where they won their seventh straight last month. And this team's never looked this good. And they, you could tell that they didn't want the season to be over. And Charlotte was just completely outmatched in that game. Paolo Banchero responded from consecutive ugly performances in critical games preceding Friday's contest. Dropped 25 points, 9 of 17 shooting, led the way, looked like Paolo Banchero again and how he's supposed to. And it was a rough shooting night for Desmond Bane, who was the hot hand against the Philadelphia 76ers in Orlando's first playing game that they lost. Where he had 34 points on 10 of 16 shooting. I believe he was just 4 of 14 the other night, but they didn't need him. They didn't need him. They just needed him to be aggressive, which he was, getting after the 50-50 balls. I mean, the defensive effort of this group uh, on Friday was truly something to behold. And, that the Magic faithful inside the arena truly lived up to that sixth man banner that represents them hanging in the rafters. They were loud, they were proud, and it really created a playoff atmosphere before the playoffs. So, what happens now? Now the Magic visit the Detroit Pistons, and the Pistons have taken control of the Eastern Conference and have reigned atop the Eastern Conference all season long because of, well, Cade Cunningham playing like a superstar, but the guys around him and the team collectively, defensive tenacity, physicality, efficiency when it comes to stopping other teams. And that is the kind of culture that Coach JB Bickerstaff instills. I believe that both him and Jamal Mosley have a lot of similarities, and these two coaches have taken each other to the brink, right? Let's not forget this time 2 years ago, the Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers, when Bickerstaff was still the head coach in Cleveland, went 7 games, went to the brink. Neither team won a road game, and I'm going to get to the significance of that for the Magic here in a second, but neither team won a road game. And there's an understanding of one another's tendencies and the similarities between the two. So it's going to be an interesting head coaching matchup to see who makes the right rotations, who has the better scout, the better game plan, who is going to set their team up for success better than the other, and then which players on the floor are going to execute more than their opposition. And so, it should be a really interesting series given the similarities in the coaches, and then by extension, the similarities of either team. And so, to my point about the Magic never winning a road game in that Cleveland series, well, they didn't win a road game against Boston last year either when they lost in 5. So the Magic under coach Jamal Mosley are 0-8 in road playoff games since he took over. Um, it's just a hump that this team, this Magic squad, which is still pretty young, still getting some experience and, not really veteran heavy in terms of guys that have been deep in the postseason. They don't really have that. I mean, that Javon Carter was a great pickup, for them in terms of a veteran leadership standpoint, but they don't have like an abundance of guys that have played late into May or even June, and so this is going to be a growing moment for this group and the way that they are going to make this a long series and possibly even upset the Pistons, it has to start on the road. And what's good about this Magic group is, yeah, they celebrated the other night. They understood, okay, we made it in. We could take a little bit of a breath, but there is even more so an understanding that they have to find a way to get it done in Detroit. They have to at least steal a game. Paolo Banchero talked about it. Coach Mosley talked about it. Jalen Suggs talked about it today after shoot around. It is imperative that this group finds a way to steal one, and they have the pieces to do it. And if they play the way they played against the Charlotte Hornets, um, on Friday, this could be a low scoring dogfight. That's the term and the phrasing that Mosley used after Friday's win. JB Bickerstaff said that this was going to be a war of attrition. Folks, this is going to be a really physical series, and don't be surprised if it gets chippy, but the Magic have to find a way to win on the road. They have to do it. They need to get that monkey off their back because otherwise, like they don't have home court advantage. It comes to a point where, at least to make this competitive, the perfect situation for this group coming into game 3, which will be in the Kia Center next Saturday, um, they have to find a way to steal one. And so, maybe it happens tonight, maybe it happens in game 2, but it's got to happen in one of these games. You don't want to go down 2-0 to the top seeded Pistons. So looking at the numbers for tonight's game, Detroit is an 8.5 point favorite. Um, the total here that we're looking at is 221 and a half. So there is this idea that this is going to be that this is going to be low scoring. We're looking at the mid hundreds for each team. That's the predictions here. Because there's an understanding that this is going to be a defensive battle. This could very much, for my football fans, this could be a 17-14 type game, where field goals make the difference. And so the Magic are going to have to find a way here. Cade Cunningham is back. The last time Orlando faced this group, he was still out with a punctured lung. He has returned to the lineup. Pistons leader, 23.9 points per game. Paolo is leading the Magic with 22.2 points per game. He's also leading in rebounds at 8.4. Jalen Suggs leading in the assist category with 5.5. Something of some significance here. Desmond Bain, a report came out by my colleague Jason Beatty with the Orlando Sentinel. Desmond Bain is dealing with an illness. And so he's listed as a game time decision, but the expectation is that he will play. And, I wonder if that was something that was starting to form on Friday for him, given his slow night. At least statistically, he played with a ton of heart and tenacity, but obviously did not replicate the same type of performance that he produced in Philly. So that'll be something to look out for. Jonathan Isaac, game time decision with the knee. And so, this is something that the Magic, as I said, I hate to keep harping on it, but it's just something that they have to do. They got to figure out a way in this building. So game one tonight will stream on NBC and Peacock at 6:30. Game two, a couple days off for this group, both groups, I should say, will not be until Wednesday at 7 on ESPN, and then another 2-day gap before the series returns to Orlando. For game three, that is another Peacock NBC stream. That is an early game, 1 p.m. And then game four will be Monday. And so, and then from there it's TBD. Like we'll see what happens in the series. But obviously with the Pistons having home court, they get games one and two, they get game five, and they get game seven if it goes that far. So yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like four road games. If the Magic, unless they come out like gangbusters and do something crazy and steal two on the road, like I believe it was New York did to Boston last year. But you at least got to get one, and that's kind of the whole message here. Paolo has got to be efficient. Whatever was working for him on Friday, he's got to make it happen again. And he told me when I asked him about it, he's like, I wasn't falling for what the defense was giving me. He wasn't, being reactive, because I asked him, I'm like, how do you continue to be proactive instead of reactive? And, he said he just wasn't falling for the traps. He's even, when there was opportunities or a chance for him to take a perimeter shot, he would still drive. They're going to need that version of him. They're going to need that physicality, because otherwise, Detroit's going to dare him to shoot. But Paolo has proven to be a playoff riser. That game against Philly was a rare, ugly. I know it wasn't technically the playoffs yet, but that was a rare, ugly postseason game for Paolo Banchero. Let's not forget, folks, last season, though the Magic just lasted 5 games against the Boston Celtics in the first round before they were eliminated, Paolo still edged himself in the top 10 of scoring averages for the postseason, came in at number 6. And his co-star, Franz Wagner, came in at number 9. So both of those guys have proven to be playoff risers. We'll see the type of mentality that they tap into. Franz was also efficient the other night, 18 points on 5 of 10. It seems like he's starting to find his rhythm again after missing the better part of 4 months with that nagging ankle injury. And it's going to take, it's going to take execution. Was something that Jalen Suggs placed great emphasis on today. It's going to take execution here, and just doing the little things, and the stars are going to have to be stars. And can Paolo and Franz and Desmond Bain do more than Kate Cunningham, Jalen Duren, and let's not forget, like this team, this Detroit team has a little more veteran leadership on it than the Magic do. You talk about a Tobias Harris, a Karis LeVert, a Duncan Robinson, guys who have been there and done it at a high level multiple times. And so that is going to make things interesting as well. Will the Magic intangibly be able to stay the course? And will leadership shine through by young guys who might not have the same kind of experience in a Paolo or a Franz, but these guys have been in big games. Like I said, that game, that 7-game series against Cleveland, where it went the distance a couple years ago, those are the kind of experiences that they will have to build off of to put pressure on this Pistons group. So I'm going to be covering it. I'm going to be watching along. I'm going to have a post-game video for you guys with the 2-day gap. I have some commitments that I got to take care of tomorrow in my final semester at UCF, just 3 weeks from graduation. So really just got to put my head down and finish up here. So have a class tomorrow, some other things to square away. So probably will not do a show tomorrow, but I'm aiming to do one on Tuesday before Wednesday's game to talk about, what happened in game one more extensively. But my goal is tonight to maybe knock out a YouTube short, but at the very least, you guys can catch my little 2-minute clip in my post-game article where I quickly break down what I noticed and things of that nature. But I just wanted to talk about, what's going to be paramount for the Magic heading into this series, what it's going to take for them to make it interesting and possibly even win it because they have the talent. Uh, and it's just a matter of execution and trying to find a way to be the better team. So, as always, thank you guys for joining me. So awesome that this, gets to be the 20th episode of Full Court Magic, and that I'm not coming to you guys with quotes from exit interviews or off-season speculation. I'm so happy to get to continue doing this and to go back to the Kia Center in a true playoff environment. If Friday was any indication of how raucous that place can get, I am incredibly excited to see in a legitimate playoff series what it looks like, especially if the Magic can bring this thing home, at the very least tied 1-1. So, as always, thank you guys again. Please, please, please join our Orlando Magic Roundtable community. As always, that link is in the description below. Please subscribe to Full Court Magic if you haven't yet. We'd love to have you be a part of the conversation. Love to get you involved. And as always, thanks so much. I'm Don Strouble. This has been Full Court Magic.